Hello, my name is Jordan Voegeli. I'm a student in the honors program here at McLennan Community College, and my research centers around human life, a study of when life begins from a scientific perspective. As healthcare professionals, nurses and doctors alike are called to provide adequate and appropriate healthcare to every patient. Proper knowledge and delivering this knowledge to patients are of the utmost importance to great healthcare. In this research initiative, a number of scientific perspectives of when life begins will be analyzed in order to explore how one should approach a patient having to make a decision regarding the health care of herself and her fetus. In this study, a combination of interviews given to current healthcare providers and an analysis of accredited medical articles will produce an extended literature review to execute and exemplify each perspective whilst giving insight to the current practices in healthcare. Through my study, I hope to apply my research and understanding in the future when I become a neonatal nurse practitioner. First, we must understand the scientific fundamentals of life and embryology. In the words of Danley Koechlin Jr., a molecular and cellular biologist of the University of California, a living organism is an organized unit which can carry out metabolic reactions, defend itself against injury, respond to stimuli, and has the capacity to at least be a partner in reproduction. Likewise, on a molecular level, Dr. Maureen Kondik, a professor of neurobiology and anatomy, states, the scientific basis of distinguishing one cell from another rests on two criteria: the differences in what something is made of, its molecular composition, and the differences in how the cell behaves. Looking through the scientific lens of life aids researchers when analyzing each scientific perspective. The milestones of embryology also provide an understanding of how researchers determine the beginning of life. The well-known Aristotle gave us the foundation of observation by concluding that two substances, semen and menstrual blood, form the embryo. Galen of Pergamos believed that the umbilical cord was necessary for respiration. And another well-known scientist, Leonardo da Vinci, provided a new understanding in dissecting a human fetus and quantitative measuring of embryo growth. William Harvey believed that all life comes from an egg in some form, and the amniotic fluid is absorbed through the blood by the fetus. Marcello Malpighi is the father of a performationist doctrine, which is described as a simple unfolding of an already miniature adult organism. This new idea opposed the original beliefs of epiogenists like Aristotle, who believed the development proceeded progressively from unorganized matter. Chick eggs, frogs, and on rare occasion fetuses all served as the basis of discovery for the mammal embryo. Without these discoveries, the embryonic field of study would have greatly suffered. For the purpose of my study, the developmental progression will focus on the first and second trimesters. In the first month, the amniotic sac and placenta develop. Blood cells begin to take shape and the heart tube beats 65 times per minute. In the second month, facial features, ear folds, and tiny buds for arms and legs are formed. The neural tube, which will soon be the brain and spinal cord, is well formed. Digestive and sensory organs begin to develop, bone replaces cartilage, and at 6 weeks, the heartbeat can be detected. During the third month, arms, hands, feet, fingers, toes are all formed. The external ear is formed, as are the teeth under the gums. Reproductive organs begin as well. And by the end of the third month, the fetus's foundation is fully formed, and now the organs will focus on becoming functional. Now, the second trimester begins. In the fourth month, the eyelids, eyelashes, nails, and hair are formed. The teeth and bones become denser. The fetus can now suck its thumb, yawn, stretch, make facial expressions. And in the fifth month, the fetus begins to move its muscles because it's developing. Lanugo, which is fine hair that covers the fetus, and vernix caseosa form to protect the fetus. Finally, during the 6th month, the skin reddens because of the veins in the translucent skin. The fingers and toes have prints now, and the eyes can open and the fetus can respond to sounds by moving and increasing its pulse. Understanding these stages, now let's analyze the varying scientific perspectives in relation to the developmental stages. The 5 most common stances include fertilization, implantation, 2 weeks, 9 weeks, and viability. First, fertilization states a new person occurs when the cells have formed into their own unique makeup apart from the gametes of the mother and father. Second, implantation is when the zygote has made its way down the fallopian tube and has implanted into the uterine lining. 2 weeks is considered a stance according to European laws, given that at this point the nervous system of the embryo has developed. Likewise, 9 weeks is considered the starting point, since the fetus has complete organ and tissue formation. With current medical life support, viability is measured at 23 weeks since the fetus has begun to grow air sacs in its lungs. However, within each one of these viewpoints, certain inconsistencies and questions arise. The fertilization stance must first define chromosomal differences such as Down syndrome, determine individuality concerning identical twins, and take into account 78% of all human fertilized eggs end in loss. During weeks 2 and 9, those who hold this position run into the problem of continuity. Since life continues, the developmental embryo could have reached these stages, but with this limit, an embryo can be destroyed before it has the chance. Basing life on the development of organs and features could mean revoking personhood when an organ does not act according to its purpose. Lastly, as technology advances, the age of viability will shorten, resulting in an unreliable position when determining human life. There are also a few stances that cannot be measured, such as intelligence, self-conscious and rational thought, feeling pain, and brainwaves. These are less molecular, scientific-based, and more along the lines of psychological. So for that reason, these stances are not added to the study, but they are noted. Aligning with my academic research, 4 doctors and 1 nurse were interviewed to understand what is actively practiced in healthcare. Each doctor or nurse had a background in OBGYN, labor and delivery, pediatrics, or family medicine. 2 of the 5 stated that heartbeat was the beginning from a clinical point of view. 2 of the 5 also said that implantation is the start, and 1 stated that fertilization was. The next clinical view of being able to sustain life was viability, which proved to be a universal agreement among each of the interviewees. As stated by Dr. Maureen Kondik, a neutral examination of the evidence merely establishes an onset of a new human life at a scientifically well-defined moment of conception. A conclusion that unequivocally indicates that a human embryo from the one cell stage forward are indeed living individuals of the human species, i.e. human beings. While fertilization explains life on the basis of molecular biology and cellular makeup, implantation proved to signify the beginning chances of life. Without implantation, the fertilized egg would never reach the potential of growing to term, which is the case in an ectopic pregnancy. Comparatively, the other stances had major inconsistencies which would not fit into the overall understanding of when life begins. While it is clear when life begins from a biological, scientific point of view, The moral relevance of a human being is to complement these scientific facts, along with ethical and philosophical analysis. Thank you for listening.